Imagine swimming in an ancient Devonian sea 390 million years ago, where the waters teemed with a variety of fish species. One remarkable lineage began to evolve in this environment, the lobed-finned fish, or sarcopterygians. Among them was a creature like Eusthenopteran, which had evolved fins with small proto-digits. These early adaptations allowed it to begin exploring shallow waters, and possibly even venturing onto land for brief periods. Over millions of years, this adaptation would lead to the evolution of tetrapods, creatures with true limbs, and ultimately pave the way for animals like amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and us humans to inhabit terrestrial environments. This is the story of Ichthyostega, one of the earliest vertebrates to develop limbs suitable for venturing onto land. It's like discovering that your pet goldfish had ancient ancestors capable of climbing mountains. Subject: the fish that grew fingers to crawl onto land. You need to hear this. Ichthyostega had fingers just like us. But these weren't mere nubs. Each finger was robust and sturdy, built for gripping rocky shores. Imagine seeing one of these early tetrapods making its way out of water onto land for the first time, marking a pivotal moment in evolutionary history. And then it gets even more fascinating. While its body wasn't initially built for terrestrial movement, certain species developed adaptations that allowed them to transition from water to land. Imagine a creature with a long, flattened tail, still equipped with fins, alongside robust limbs capable of supporting its weight. This animal represents an evolutionary bridge between aquatic and terrestrial life forms, resembling a blend of salamander and crocodile in appearance and function. But here's the kicker. Ichthyostega's limbs weren't just for crawling. They were robust enough to help it navigate through swamps and muddy flats, environments where most fish would struggle. These early tetrapods were pioneers in exploring a completely new mode of terrestrial existence. So how did this transition occur? Millions of years ago, during significant geological shifts, sea levels fluctuated dramatically. This created diverse environments like shallow pools and muddy flats in coastal areas, presenting both hazards and opportunities for aquatic life. These conditions necessitated adaptation. Organisms that could exploit these new habitats thrived, evolving features that allowed them to navigate both water and land. Ichthyostega's ancestors evolved tiny buds on their fins, which were early protolimbs, allowing them to venture into these new terrestrial environments. Over generations, those buds grew larger and more complex, eventually developing into actual fingers and toes designed for gripping rough surfaces. Ichthyostega was among the first creatures to truly conquer land. Now, think about this. Ichthyostega's tail retained many of its original fin-like features, but was adapted for pushing the animal forward on land rather than swimming. Instead of using it like a rudder, Ichthyostega likely used its robust limbs and flexible spine to navigate terrestrial environments, marking it as one of the earliest vertebrates to transition from water to land. And here's what nobody tells you. Ichthyostega wasn't alone. Other fish were also evolving limbs around the same time, including Acanthostega, Panderichthys, and Tiktaalik. Each species represents a crucial step in the transition from aquatic to terrestrial life, marking the dawn of tetrapods. Now picture this. You're standing by a swampy shoreline during the late Devonian period, mist hanging in the air. Suddenly, you see ripples breaking the surface, followed by the dark shape of an early tetrapod moving slowly toward the bank. And then it happens. A creature with limb-like fins heaves itself out of the water and onto land. This is a pivotal moment in evolutionary history when fish-like animals began to develop features that would eventually become fingers and toes, marking the transition from aquatic to terrestrial life. This is where the story gets eerie. Ichthyostega wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Its bones show signs of wear and tear from all that crawling around on land. It's like finding evidence of a prehistoric pioneer, full of scars and calluses from a life lived at the edge between water and land. And then, hold on to your seats, the part that breaks me is still coming. Ichthyostega was indeed impressive for its time. Think about it. a transitional creature with limbs powerful enough to help it crawl onto land. Imagine seeing one of those creatures in a primeval swamp, dragging itself across the muddy shoreline. But here's the real shocker. Its tail and limbs weren't just for moving around. They were also crucial for defending itself against rivals and early predators lurking along the shorelines. Ichthyostega, this fish-like animal, wasn't just pioneering. It was fighting for survival against all odds. So let's be honest. This is the moment when you start to realize that evolution isn't always a gentle, gradual process. It's often brutal and unpredictable. Moving from water to land required significant adaptations, such as the development of limbs from fin-like structures, marking a pivotal shift towards an uncertain but ultimately successful future on dry ground. Subject: the fish that grew fingers to crawl onto land. And then, prepare yourself, it gets even more remarkable. Scientists discovered fossilized tracks showing early tetrapods moving in groups, possibly hunting together or migrating as a unit. Imagine a pack of Ichthyostega making its way across a muddy beach, each one dragging itself forward with powerful limbs, marking the transition from sea to land. But that's not the strangest thing. It was incredibly successful. Its descendants would go on to fill every nook and cranny of land, evolving into everything from frogs to mammals like us. Every step we take today is a legacy of these brave, pioneering fish. Dinosaurs also evolved from earlier fish-derived tetrapods, but followed a different evolutionary path, leading to their own diverse array of terrestrial forms. Ichthyostega wasn't just the first fish to grow rudimentary limbs. It was one of the earliest animals to evolve limb structures similar to what we see in modern tetrapods, laying the groundwork for future life on land. This creature represents a critical step in the evolution of terrestrial locomotion, setting the stage for all subsequent vertebrates with limbs. So you're thinking, wow, this is insane, and you're right. The idea of a fish evolving to crawl onto land seems almost impossible until you see the fossils. Fossils of creatures like Tiktaalik show transitional forms with limb-like fins that could support their body on soft ground, bridging the gap between aquatic and terrestrial life. It's like discovering your car suddenly grew legs and started climbing mountains. But then, get ready for the gut punch fact. Ichthyostega wasn't around forever. Eventually, it went extinct, leaving behind only its legacy in future animals. Its brief but monumental existence marked a turning point in Earth's history. The moment when fish transitioned into tetrapods, setting the stage for all that came after. So here's what you need to remember. The next time you see a frog leaping across a pond or feel your own fingers grasping something solid, think back to Ichthyostega. This ancient creature was one of the first to transition from water to land, paving the way for all terrestrial vertebrates that followed. This story of evolution is both awe-inspiring and profound. The transition of fish developing limbs to crawl onto land marks a pivotal moment when the unimaginable became reality, forever changing the course of life on Earth. Imagine standing at the edge of an ancient shoreline where water meets land. The waves lap against the shore, followed by moments of stillness as they recede. This intertidal zone was the cradle of transformation millions of years ago, where early tetrapods began their journey from aquatic to terrestrial habitats. Ichthyostega didn't just have fingers. It had a complete set of limbs that were transitional between fish and terrestrial animals. Its paddle-like fins evolved into legs with digits capable of supporting its weight and aiding navigation in shallow waters. Imagine this. As Ichthyostega transitioned from water to land, it was like it unlocked a new world no fish had ever entered before. But here's the kicker. Those fingers weren't just for moving around on solid ground. They also helped Ichthyostega breathe air when it ventured too far from water. Its robust ribs and shoulder girdle allowed it to push itself out of shallow waters if needed. A remarkable feat given that lifting its own weight with its arms was no small task. And let's not forget about its tail. Unlike modern fish, Ichthyostega had a strong bony tail that could undulate, helping it propel through water but also aiding in support on land. This tail evolved to perform dual roles: powerful swimming movements for navigating aquatic environments and flexibility as a brace to stabilize the body while moving across uneven terrestrial surfaces. Now, think about how weird this must have looked back then. Fish were perfectly adapted for life underwater, sleek and streamlined. Suddenly, there's this bulky creature that looks more like it belongs in the mud than in the sea. Ichthyostega had eyes positioned on top of its head, giving it a pike-like appearance. This adaptation allowed it to spot potential threats from above while still being able to see what was directly ahead as it transitioned between water and land. But here's where things get even stranger. Ichthyostega wasn't alone in this transition. It had relatives like Acanthostega, which also made the leap but with slightly different adaptations. Imagine a group of these fish amphibians waddling along the shoreline as waves lap at their sides. They were pioneers, testing the waters for what would become an entire lineage of terrestrial animals. And here's something that might blow your mind. Ichthyostega didn't just evolve to live in two worlds. It also had a significant impact on its environment. Its movements across both land and water left behind tracks and fossilized footprints, providing us with invaluable clues about how these creatures behaved millions of years ago. These prints serve as a secret code, revealing the actions and adaptations of early tetrapods during their transition from aquatic to terrestrial habitats. So next time you see an amphibian, or even when you look at your own hands, remember Ichthyostega. It was one of the first to bridge two worlds, and in doing so, it set off a chain reaction that led to every land animal on Earth today. This isn't just a story about evolution. It's a tale of resilience and adaptation, of life finding a way no matter how impossible it seems. What's truly incredible is that we're still discovering new details about Ichthyostega even now, decades after its discovery, not centuries since its extinction. Each new fossil or trackway helps us piece together the puzzle of this remarkable creature, showing just how much there is left to learn and uncover in our planet's history. In short, Ichthyostega wasn't just a fish with fingers. It was a bridge connecting aquatic life to terrestrial existence. And that, my friend, is nothing short of mind-blowing. Imagine trying to navigate on land with four paddle-like limbs originally adapted for swimming. It would be like attempting to walk in water. Over millions of years, its sturdy limbs evolved into something entirely new. Its finger-like structures, once simple bumps on a flipper, transformed into functional digits capable of grasping and pushing against solid ground. Scientists have discovered fossilized tracks that illustrate Ichthyostega's transition from aquatic to terrestrial habitats was a challenging process. Imagine wading in shallow water, your limbs struggling to move through thick mud. This is what these ancient tetrapods experienced as they made their way onto land. Their tracks show deep indentations where they pushed off the ground with each step, revealing the difficulties of this evolutionary shift. The really wild part: Ichthyostega wasn't alone. Other species like Acanthostega and Pedorps joined its exodus from water to land, creating a community of early tetrapods venturing into uncharted territory. Each one left behind clues that tell us how they adapted over time, marking the dawn of vertebrate life on land. And here's where it gets even more amazing. Ichthyostega wasn't just moving its body, it was changing everything about how animals live on land. Its lungs, gills, and bones all had to adapt simultaneously, a symphony of evolutionary changes happening in perfect harmony. Imagine the struggle of breathing through both air and water, while your body shifts from fish-like to something more akin to a tetrapod, marking a pivotal transition in vertebrate evolution. So next time you see a frog hop across a pond or watch a crocodile bask on shore, remember Ichthyostega. This ancient creature played a crucial role in the evolution of vertebrates onto land, bridging the gap between aquatic and terrestrial life. Its limb structures were among the first to evolve for walking on solid ground, fundamentally altering the course of life as we know it. Nothing short of incredible.